It's time now for a very special Easter week here on The Perspective with Mike Sherbino and Julie Stautland. This week, we step into the art and science of forgiveness. Did you know a Johns Hopkins study says our actual health depends on it? Our guests this week will unravel forgiveness from their own experiences. Dr. Andrew Blackwood's in the house to explain the art of the genuine apology, and Bonnie and Allan Gallant revealed their mental health toolkit and the art of persevering. Plus, one woman who forgave the pilot who dropped a bomb on her village and scarred her for life. Kim Fook of the Kim Foundation is here to celebrate the 50th commemorate anniversary of the little girl in the world-famous Pulitzer Prize-winning photograph, Napalm Girl. And multi-award-winning entertainer, author, radio host, and musician John Tesh will talk about his latest adventure, Tesh TV. And a parent-child relationship is one of the most complex we'll have in our lifetime. Dad, author, and podcaster Alec Lace is here to talk about his book, First Class Fatherhood. Jesus is risen, everybody. A very happy Easter from all of us at The Perspective.
Hey, good morning, everybody. We are so glad you were with us here on The Perspective. And Julie, welcome to you today.
Thank you. Always welcome.
You know, we got an interesting subject today. We're going to talk a little bit about forgiveness, apologies, and some mental health. So it's going to be a helpful morning.
Absolutely.
I want to ask you a question. You have 2 daughters.
Yep.
I have 5.
Right.
I'm sure yours never had a problem.
Never.
Never. Okay. Perfect mother, right? How did you get them to apologize when they acted up?
You know, they were actually pretty good about it when I think about it. No, seriously, they were actually pretty good about it. Apologizing quickly now, you know, the state of the heart, that's a different thing. Who knows about that, right? How about your girls?
Well, I tried bribery, tried a number of things to make them, you know, we want everyone to patch up and make up.
Right.
I have one very special daughter. Oh. She held out for a couple days, I got to admit.
Oh, boy.
I'm sure she got that from her mother's side of the family.
Oh, yes, of course.
Exactly.
Not from you.
We don't want to apologize for that.
No.
But today on the program, we have back with us again my good friend and yours,
yes,
Dr. Andrew Blackwood. Coach Drew is going to be here talking about the art of a genuine apology. I was holding it up for you, actually, Julie, to read because there are a couple of things I'd like you to apologize for, and we'll discuss it later.
Alrighty, sounds
We're
good.
glad you're with us. Stay right where you are, and we're going to be back with Coach Drew. We're delighted again today to have a favorite on the program, Dr. Andrew Blackwood. And one of the things that Andrew has been working on recently is coaching parents with children of anxiety. And it's hard to believe that children have high levels of anxiety, but he's called his series, Help Them Be Brave. And Andrew, we're glad you're with us again. You've written the book, The Art of a Genuine Apology. We want to unpack that a little bit with you today. So glad you're with us. You doing well?
I am. I'm so glad to be here. Thanks, Mike. Hi, Julie.
Hi.
Really kind of envious of that beard. I mean, we've been watching it grow over the last year, and it is an amazing accomplishment in itself. Looks so cool.
I'm enjoying it while it's here. Who knows? It may be gone tomorrow. We'll see.
One day when I grow up, I want to have one like that as well. So that's pretty cool. Julie, not you though so much, okay? We don't want, it's just a guy thing. Okay,
I'm glad.
Okay, so we want to talk a little bit about forgiveness. We want to talk about the art of a genuine apology. You've written about it in your book, and that's such a helpful book. Let's jump right in today as we're seeing all sorts of turmoil, anxiety in families. How do we learn to be more forgiving?
Well, you know, like everything, we get better with it the more that we do it. Although we don't want to experience the pain, there's something in the journey, in the process for us. So a lot of times we think forgiveness is just a one-stop shop, like you just dismiss things and you just get over it. But that's not true. In order to forgive, Some people say you need to forget. I disagree. I say if you forgive, eyes wide open, you remember, you think about what it is that you want to forgive, and you make a choice and you go through that process. Because each thing you forgive, there's this wonderful thing about loss, okay, that's attached to forgiveness. So when you forgive, you're actually aware of the loss, you're aware of the impact, and you're aware of the pain, and you resolve that. And then you move forward with forgiveness. So you choose, and then you go through the process.
So let's dive into that more, Drew. Why is forgiveness so beneficial to our mental and physical health?
Yeah.
Well, if you think about it this way, the body does not discern things, okay? It can't tell the difference between past, present, and future. So when you remember the past and you remember the pain, you're picturing it on the screen of your mind, and your body's responding to it in real time. So if you're remembering and reliving a pain over and over and over, your body is reacting as if that pain never stopped. So then you see why the insomnia is there. You see why the headaches are there. You see why, the stress and all that stuff, it just stays in your body. And we're not designed to endure stress indefinitely. So it does make us ill when we do not move forward with forgiveness and go through the process of grieving. So when we grieve, we can actually grow through grieving and we come through to the other side. So the process involves looking at your pain as an individual, looking at what you've lost, because beneath that pain, God wants to show you something about him. He wants to show you something about you. A lot of the times we think forgiveness is about the past and what people did, but it's really not. Forgiveness is about God's promise to you. Will he still fulfill his promise to you? Will your life still be wonderful regardless of what people did? And when we accept that, then we can move forward.
I think that's a really important point. I've never, really thought about it that way. Thank you for sharing that.
So, Andrew, take us one step further. We talk about the issue of forgiveness and we give consensual assent to that it's important. What if I'm dealing with somebody who hasn't owned up? I mean, I was jokingly talking to Julie, as in the opening of the program, saying she needs to apologize for some things if I'm going to forgive her. What happens if she, stands her ground, like one of my daughters did for a couple days?
Right? Yeah, well, that's one of the myths and the misconceptions, that in order for me to forgive, somebody has to acknowledge, somebody has to apologize first. But it's so much better the other way around. Before the person apologizes, before they acknowledge, you choose to forgive, because you then set yourself free to engage with this person, not tethered to the past. Forgiveness is a gift to others, but primarily it's a gift to you. Right? So we don't need people to acknowledge. We don't need them to even change for us to forgive. What we want that for is for reconciliation. And the two are very different.
Drew, why do you think we think grudges have such a hold on us?
Well, yeah, for the same reasons I was talking about before. When we think that our forgiveness, our freedom, our future, our health, our welfare is dependent on other people, then we stay stuck there, right? On some level, we're trying to protect ourselves, right? We don't want this to happen again, or we don't want people to think that we're pushovers and that they can just do whatever they want. So we hold on to that as if that's going to protect us and if that's going to keep us. When the truth is, that sense of powerlessness that we feel, it taps into a core need that all human beings have, but only God can meet that need. Only God can empower us. Only God can make us significant. Only God can keep us safe. Other people can't do that. So when God meets that need for us, then we show up not dependent on the other person's actions. We show up healed and ready to move forward.
Andrew, just as we wrap up the talk for today, and you're going to be back teaching on forgiveness this week, so we're looking forward to that. Jesus gave us an example. He said, when you pray, say, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. And then he says, forgive us this day of our trespasses as we forgive those who sin against us. Why is that significant for you in your spiritual journey, that phrase? And how are we to understand it?
Right. Well, the journey of forgiveness of oneself, just like all other roads of healing, are paved with understanding. So when we forgive, we actually have a good understanding of who we are, because to sin means to miss the mark. So when we miss the mark, then we're not being the best versions of ourselves. So when we understand who we are called to be in contrast with what we did, then we can let that go and we can move into being who God created us and called us to be. Because when people hurt us and they do things to us, we forgive them because they know not what they do. They don't know why they're doing what they're doing. They don't know who they are called to be. So when we understand, oh, I'm flawed, I'm not perfect, but God is calling me in to greater alignment with who he's called me to be, then we want that very same thing for the other person.
Right. Thank you so much. You always have so much for us to think about, hold on to, and ponder, and it's always wonderful to have you here. So we look forward to your teach tomorrow. Stay with us. Coming up, Perseverance and Forgiveness with Bonnie and Allan Gallant.
I'm excited today to have Bonnie and Allan Gallant with us. They were here a long time ago on our program. They're good friends of mine, and their story is going to grip your heart. Some of you will remember that both of them in pastoral ministry. Allan struggled with depression, had a devastating stroke. They've come through all of that, and they're still coming through it. They've written a book called The Beautiful Strokes of God, and now they lead Agora Network Ministries, which helps people understand the issues of mental health, and it's equipping the church. So, Allan and Bonnie, welcome to the program today.
Yes. Thank you so much for being with us. And Allan, I want to jump right in there and say, not many people survive the kind of stroke you did. So tell us in about 30 seconds, what happened to you?
Well, I pastored for 33 years and hit a wall emotionally. And I was in a very severe depression and anxiety. And during those years away from ministry, I just started to not care about anything. I never took care of myself. And then one day, out of the blue, I had a debilitating stroke, which took away my voice. So that was a very scary time for us as a family. And then after that, I was able to recover, but it was a slow process. I even was thinking about how to take my own life. But God was so gracious to me, and he began to help me recover. And so based on my struggle, Agora Network Ministries was birthed.
Bonnie, tell us what it was like for you watching all this happening, and also you were there as a supporter, but you were dealing with your own issues, weren't you?
Absolutely. Actually, it was something that I thought this could never happen to Allan and I, particularly the mental health issue. I know strokes can happen to anybody, but we just didn't think we would have to journey down the path of mental illness. And being the caregiver for one who had mental issues and trying to understand, I just couldn't understand what was happening to Allan. I would ask him and he couldn't tell me. And it was a really dark time for us as a couple and as a family.
When you have mental health struggles, you really don't know what's going on. She asked me many times, what's going on? How can I help? And I said, I don't know. I couldn't engage with her about what was happening to me. It was just torment.
Because if it was physical, it's easier to help. But because the torment was in his mind, he was just not able to let me know what that was.
Yeah.
Bonnie, what now do you dedicate your life to?
Well, that's a loaded question.
It is, isn't it? Yes.
I can throw in a one-liner. Bonnie is an amazing cook, but especially a baker. I mean, it's just amazing what she does, but I know there's something even more than that.
We know you guys are greatly involved in so much.
Well, obviously, Agora Network Ministries has been a passion now. And what's really cool about it, it's been a passion together. It's not just one-sided. It's because I've watched my husband go through the journey. I've been the caregiver. And then I've also had to face my own demons of anxiousness and depression. Because after everything was over, I've journeyed that road myself, totally on the road of recovery now. And it's funny that you did mention baking, because while Allan was sick, that was my coping mechanism, was to do. And so now I do some baking also. So it's fun.
You know, I think it's important to say that the fact that, you know, when you're taking care of someone who's going through something that's so heavy, you too also need to have time to recover and feel healed as well. So it's great that you've shared that has also been a part of your journey as well.
Absolutely. And I don't think I realized how exhausted I was and how depleted I was. I was totally on empty, but surviving. I often say I've gone through my own journey of counseling, and with my counselor, one illustration he used is I basically had to run my life being an 18-wheeler, you know, being in pastoral ministry, pastor's wife, 5 children, the whole gamut, and then going through the crises that we went through. But now I'm learning that I'm a smart car, and it's okay just to, you know, fit what I can fit in a smart car and say no to the things that I know will not help me.
You know, one of the things that was important for us, we didn't know what to do when I was going through my crisis. And so now we try to help people know that there is help, and especially faith communities, because they really don't know the issues of mental wellness, especially people that are believers in Jesus. So we now try to direct people to get the help they need, because there is hope, there's healing, and there's help for people. And that's what we try to do now.
Well, tell us about that, because you've written a book, The Beautiful Strokes of God. Just give us a thumbnail sketch about it, and tell us about the ministry you lead. And you have a huge conference coming up that's international, the Perseverance Conference. We want to hear about that.
And we're so excited. So the book is it talks about our story, but the beautiful strokes of God is that God can use or take something that's ugly and make it into something beautiful. So it's a play on words, but really he took my stroke and he made something good from it. And so the ministry is to really be a place where we can help people. And with resources and with supports for their mental wellness. We are now in the place where we're developing our own. We have a workbook that goes with the book that we just wrote. It's a study guide, and it really helps people talk about the awareness and their own struggles. So we are trying to push that as well. But the Perseverance Conference is something that this is our second one. Last year, we had speakers like Kay Warren and Dr. Grant Malling, Brent Ullman, and Amy Simpson. But this year, we have some very talented speakers like Corey Hirsch, ex-NHL player for the Vancouver Canucks, Elizabeth Manley, who was an Olympian back in 1988, and also Dr. Carolyn Lee, which has written many books, but she talks about the mind versus the brain and how they interplay with each other. And so, you know, May 14th, on Saturday, May 14th, people can register on our website now. And we're looking for host churches as well to have a simulcast party and invite their people to come. And all the information is on our website.
Oh, that is great. We
Well,
need that.
Yeah. We need it so much. Bonnie and Allan, thank you for being willing to let God work through your pain, your disappointments, and to bring something so beautiful out of this as you are speaking life back into so many individuals and churches. I want to encourage people to take part in the Perseverance Conference. You can go to Agora Ministries, agoranetworkministries.com and sign up.
Or they can go to the perseveranceconference.ca website and sign up there as well.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. It's so good to see you guys again. Wishing you all the best. Thank you for the work you do.
I'm going
Stay
to
with
the
us. We'll be right back with Mike and the Word.
If you've offered an apology and you get the sense that something's missing, things still haven't quite come together, you're probably right. And the best thing that you can do is ask. Ask the person that you've hurt what's missing. See, now this is the fourth step of the genuine apology. It's also the most vulnerable step, the most vulnerable place you could be. But that's the place you want to be if you really want to bring healing to your relationship.
Hey, if I was to ask you the name of the guy that has an S on his t-shirt, who would you say? Yeah, you know the answer, Superman. And if I was to say, what is the planet that he's from? Well, you would say Krypton. Okay, let me ask you another question just to test your knowledge. What city did he protect? And if you said Metropolis, you'd be right on. And of course, who was Superman's heartthrob? Lois Lane. You got it. I think all of you qualify for Jeopardy today. But if you go back to the 1978 version of Superman, starring Christopher Reeve, there's an interesting scene because as you remember, Superman's heartthrob, Lois Lane, she's driving through the Nevada desert when a crevice opens up by an earthquake and it swallows her up. And Superman is just outraged. He can't save his heartthrob. And so what does he do? In an act of desperation, he goes around the Earth at such a speed that he reverses the Earth's orbit. Now, that's amazing. And so what he does, he backs time up, and he then saves Lois Lane. Now, if that was true, because the Earth is rotating at about 1,000 miles an hour, if he was doing that, you and I would have an incredible sense of whiplash. Sometimes we want to live in fantasy land. We want to believe that what has happened can be changed. But really, is there any hope for that? That's why I love Easter, the hope of Easter. Because what happens with Easter is that it's not that we see the Earth's axis reversed, but we see the God of creation creating the most incredible, wonderful, loving plan that anyone could ever imagine. To send a son, born of a virgin, Mary, we celebrate that at Christmas, ultimately to go to a cross 33 years later to give his life for you and for me. And because Jesus died on the cross, there is the ultimate reversal. Death no longer has its claws stuck in us. Death no longer is final, because the greatest words ever to be said to anyone is when the women came to the empty tomb and the angel said, "He is not here, he is risen." And when Jesus rose from the dead, there is the ultimate apologetic. Death had been defeated. Hope was given to us. What death had taken away suddenly was reversed. And I want you to understand the significance of Easter, because without it, you and I do not have any hope. On a particular day, Jesus was talking to two of his friends because the third friend was dead. You remember them, Mary and Martha and Lazarus. They were all part of the same family. And Mary and Martha are heartbroken because they're saying, "Jesus, if only you had come sooner, you would have healed our brother Lazarus, and he wouldn't have to die." But Jesus says these words. He said, "Martha," he said, "I am the resurrection and the life. Whoever believes in me, though he die, yet shall he live. And everyone who lives and believes in me shall never die. Do you believe this?" And Martha said, "Lord, I believe." But she had no idea the grandeur of what was about to happen. Because then Jesus goes to the tomb and he calls out Lazarus. And Lazarus comes forth after 4 days in a tomb. He should have been stinking. He was wrapped in the grave clothes. He comes out and he experiences what you and I have to look forward to as well if our trust is in Christ, and that is the resurrection. As we think about Easter, as we journey towards Easter, all of us need to realize that down deep, we need the assurance, the hope of the ultimate apologetic, that Jesus has actually defeated death and that he has risen again. Recently, I was talking to two people who would very politely say they have no faith. They don't really need faith because everything is going well for them. And in the course of the conversation, as I talked to them, I suggested, what happens when you hit that crisis? When you hit that proverbial brick wall? When your perfect world starts to unravel? Or when you come to old age and you realize that no longer can you defy gravity. No longer can you convince people that you're not getting older, you're getting more youthful. It's a sham. We all die. But to those who trust in Christ, they experience the ultimate reversal. Because we're not talking about Superman. We're talking about a super Savior, Jesus. And this week, as we think about Easter, think resurrection, think hope, think of the assurance that Christ wants you and I to live with each day, each moment, right now.
You know, Mike, when we think about forgiveness, it can be very complicated and emotions can get in the way and you feel like, I wish I never said that comment in the first place. Or, you know, letting something go, sometimes that holding on, those grudges can be so powerful. You know, I don't know about you, but those are things I've had to wrestle through.
Guilty. I'm guilty as well. And, you know, as we wrap up today, I would think that most of you would say, hey, there are things I wish I could take back. And Julie, the Superman illustration, you know, we love if we could just reverse things, take it back. Maybe with what Coach Drew was saying, the art of a genuine apology. If only we didn't have to apologize.
Exactly.
And sometimes we are like that proverbial character, Archie Bunker. We don't think we need to apologize. And if you don't know who Archie Bunker is, that's fine. You're probably better off. But the reality of it is, we need to extend forgiveness. We need healing. And we live in a broken world, and that's what Bonnie and Allan are referencing. Even in their own brokenness, they had to come to the point where they surrendered completely to God. And here they were already following him. Maybe that's where you're at today. The beauty of this Easter week is that as we think of the message of the cross, Jesus has died so that we can be forgiven, so that we can have a new start with him. And he extends that invitation to you today. Why not open up yourselves and say, yes, Lord, I want to receive your forgiveness in my life.